Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Conversational Witchcraft with me, Dawn the Kitchen Witch. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here, whether you're listening on audio or you are watching on YouTube. I appreciate you so much. We are at almost over 50,000 downloads on this podcast, and I am super grateful for all of you. So please do me a quick favor so we can keep on doing this. Go on and make sure you subscribe to this channel. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening. You can hit all the buttons, so like, share, subscribe, all those things that you're supposed to do. And you can also support me and this podcast by clicking the link to support us and help me keep bringing you great information, conversations, and inspirations. Don't forget, you can learn more about me, food magic, and the power of kitchen witchery by visiting me directly at cucinaaurora.com or on all socials at Cucina Aurora. Okay, I'm really excited because I'm a big fan of today's guests. This is today we have Ayanna Madrone here on the show. She is a witch, an herbalist, a soil scientist, a yoga teacher, a creator devoted to earth wisdom and spiritual reclamation. She's the voice behind Root and Ritual on Substack, where she shares seasonal insights, lunar rites, and intuitive practices for living in the rhythm with the earth and self. I'm so excited to have you here, Ayana. I'm so thrilled because you are like one of my absolute favorite TikTokers, and that's coming from someone who doesn't do a lot of TikTok. So thank you for being here. Thank you for accepting my invitation. I'm so happy you're here.
Well, thank you. I feel honored and I'm grateful I saw it because like I had said before, TikTok's crazy and it's hard to actually see your messages. So thank you for understanding that I didn't reply for a while. I think it was a couple months. I was just like, whoa.
Did I try again? Did I try? I think I probably tried again.
I don't even know. I
I
just
don't
saw it.
know.
I was like, oh, hi.
Well, I feel like I don't know how you came on my For You page. I don't know how I started following you, but I'm going to be like super duper honest. Okay. I'm an old witch. I've been doing this since the 90s, and I've been teaching and writing on kitchen witchery, food magic, and all that stuff, and my business and everything. Been around the block, okay. And I have opinions about witches on TikTok because there's a lot of bad information out there. There's a lot of crap, right? And so I was really avoidant of being on TikTok for a long time. And I was like, if I want to reach a new audience, I have to myself get up on TikTok, and started getting more involved in the witchy community, the kitchen witchy community on TikTok, and found you in the process. And I was like, holy shit, this human knows what she's talking about. And it was so refreshing to find you there and go, look at this space you've created that is authentic and real in your practice. So I, as a fan, have to thank you for the work that you're doing in that space.
Well, thank you so much for saying that. I feel very honored and just like I was just telling you, I just feel like a normal person. And I'm just sharing my craft. But TikTok, I agree with you. There's a lot of people on there who are just kind of scamming and just there for clout and misleading people, especially spiritually. You may not know this, but when I started TikTok 4 years ago, I wasn't teaching witchcraft at all. I was
Really?
actually talking about metaphysics because I'm very fascinated with metaphysics and how it relates to like your metaphysical body and your chakra system and all of that because you actually have like 15 chakras, not seven. Um, so a lot of
What?
them are not in your body because we live in a 15-dimensional time matrix. So like you have a chakra that corresponds for each layer of the dimensions within this time matrix. And so does everything else. I know that's a little off base,
No,
but
that's
that's where it
phenomenal. That's
started.
really, really interesting because I'm into all that as well. I love metaphysics. I really love neuroscience and energy
Yeah.
work and where those spaces meet. Like just in learning more about you, like off of TikTok, and learning about like, your journey and you're a yoga teacher and you're into metaphysics and all of these things. Like let's rewind a little bit and let's
Okay.
find the story of how did you get here? Like, were you always into this kind of stuff? What was your upbringing like?
My
That
goodness.
kind of thing. Like,
So I was raised in a Pentecostal evangelical cult. And I actually like to say that I was raised in a cult within a cult because there was like the cult that we were subscribed to, a part of, whatever. And then my dad had an extra layer of regulations, rules, expectations that were more extreme than even that.
mhm,
Um, I have seven siblings and I'm a middle child. So my upbringing was definitely very conservative,
mm,
very much against all of the things that I talk about and teach now.
mhm,
Like even saying witchcraft took me a while to be
yeah,
okay with, just because it was seen as so evil and
yeah,
like you're doing the devil's work, you know. Always subscribing these really evil or negative intentions to anything that was opposed to the Bible. And leaving that, actually, I didn't leave until I was 19. And I met my husband in that cult. And we actually left together to go build another one because we were part of like the leadership team. And I wasn't really feeling that, let's say, into it, interested, but it was kind of the thing that I did at that point in time because that's what you were supposed to do.
it's what you know,
And I was
right?
very much not a leader at that point in time. I was more of a follower. And so I went ahead and we went over there and we're doing it. And there just came a point where I kind of woke up and I was like, this is not okay. This is not for me. This is not really for anyone, but I definitely don't want to be a part of it or promote it. So I kind of fell out of connection with it, desire to be a part of it, before my husband did. And then he did shortly after because I kind of tend to lead on things like that in our relationship. I'm like, I think we need to think about this thing. So we both ended up leaving and kind of just wandering a little aimlessly for a few years, figuring out like, do we even want a spiritual life after that? Because there's so much toxicity and just misunderstanding around what it is to have a spiritual connection. And most of it is like, at least the way that we were brought up, externalization of your own power instead of owning your own power and connecting with the power you already have. You're always saying, oh, well, God's going to do it for me. Or something good or bad happens, it's God that's helping me, or I need to ask God for more help. It's never like, oh, I just made a mistake. Like, I
Right.
should
There's no like
have known that.
personal accountability, right? Like
There's no
personal
accountability.
accountability.
Yeah, so I wasn't really raised to take accountability
Wow.
or to like genuinely apologize. So there's just a huge learning curve for life in general. Not to mention I grew up like I went to a cult like the school that was a part of that church. And so like all of my learning was a part of that organization. So when I left, I didn't really have family, friends. I didn't even really know that much. And then I went to college and I was like, I want to learn about science, but I know nothing. So I need to like learn everything.
Wow. Wow. So the
So
school was through this
it
church.
was.
I'm going to use the word
Yeah.
church. The school was through the church, obviously a
Yeah.
very insular community, right? Just
Very.
only people that were also devout in this path.
Yeah.
And so, everyone learned the same things, everybody believed the same things. So there wasn't a lot of questioning or wondering, or I would guess creativity
No,
or individualism.
exactly. Yeah, it was very much and especially because I had so many siblings growing up, everything was like it's all about the family unit and it's not about the individual. So like if you had individual needs, it was always like, well, is the family okay with sustaining whatever needs you need to have fulfilled? Or like is it selfishness? So I really struggled with that growing up, feeling like I was just selfish for having needs. And so it took me a while to reprogram that in particular. Um, and also
Wow.
to feel like I could have a voice because I was not raised to have a voice as a female or to be in a leadership role that might be leadership over a man. Because that was also something
Absolutely.
that's very negative, not okay.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
the throat chakra clearing stuff took a while for me.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful for the journey that I've been on to get to the point where I can speak and do something like this. But yeah, it took so long. It took so long. And I'm 34 now. And I know there are a lot of people who are like, oh man, well, it's too late to start. I'm like, no, it's not. Like, it's never too late to start. And you can always shift what you're doing, just like you were talking about. You decide, well, I need to reach out to a different audience. I need to see if I can connect with different communities. And so you hopped on TikTok and you're like, well, let's try this out and see what we find. And I
And
think so much of like our experiences and the positivity that we are able to glean from the world comes from just like what are we hoping to find? Like what are we focusing our intentions on when we're looking? Are we focused on finding the worst? Because we will. Like we're powerful. We're very powerful.
yes. Yes.
And so that was a hard thing for me to learn and just to
Yeah.
understand that like I can create and I can destroy. And so what am I going to create and what am I going to like get rid of and destroy and reconstruct I guess the energy from those destructed bits into something better, kind of like, soil and compost and it all cycles through.
I think
And so
I think that's something that's inherently I want to say in female bodied people, and one of the things that I was not anywhere as extreme as you were in your upbringing, but I was brought up in a very traditional Italian Catholic upbringing,
yes, yeah.
right? So this idea of being a girl, being a woman, you have no voice, you have no purpose, you're shamed because you're female, but you certainly can't enjoy your body, but
No.
like so when you start learning, when you become a woman and you start learning about other things, or you start questioning, right? Like
Mm.
you get to that point of questioning. And first of all, very brave of you to even question in the first place. Very brave of you to walk away from everything and everyone you knew to become who you are supposed to be. So I gotta congratulate you on that, because there's
Thank
a
you.
lot of people out there that don't make that choice.
Part of it is my personality. I have like 7 Capricorn placements, and I am an Aries moon. And I very much have always been somebody to push back on things, even though I stayed within that organization for as long as I did. I did leave, but
Yeah.
I was always pushing back on my dad, and like he definitely was not happy about it. It was not a great experience growing up, but I always was like, no, somebody needs to say something. Like somebody needs to speak up here, and no one was like fighting for me. So I was like, I need to try and fight for myself, at least to some degree. But yeah, I think that once I left, it was just kind of like I said, kind of an aimless experience for a while where I was
Mm,
like, I'm free. Why do I want to connect myself to anything spiritual? Because
right.
I saw it all as a way to externalize your power. And so it wasn't until my husband actually started getting into metaphysics, and I was like, this is weird. Like compared to what like I was just like,
Like,
this is really
whoa,
weird.
what?
And you're like talking about aliens and all this other stuff. And I was just like, I don't like no, like, are you losing your mind? Like that's kind of where I started off. Like I was just like, this is weird. And I was like, I don't really want to hear any more about it. He's like, here, just wait. Like, if you like who I become from what I'm learning from all of this stuff, then like give it a chance. And I was like, okay. And I just saw him becoming more and more, well, of who he is now, which is just a very balanced, kind, like amazing person. And I was like, oh. Okay, well, I'll listen. But like specifically the stuff that we've learned around metaphysics, it's like connected to the energies of words as well. And so
Yeah.
like if you want to embody certain energies, like you need to look at different chakras. If that particular thing is out of balance, it will reflect within your metaphysical anatomy and also your like 3D layers. And so like just understanding the power of words, and words are spells, and like connecting that down to like, because I see witchcraft as very much the rooted part of magic. Because we have the cosmic part, but we have the rooted part, you know, that most people tend to focus on within the like earth body and our physical bodies. It's usually the first seven chakras. And so like that really resonated with me.
Yeah.
And so journeying back into it, that's what I would say, back into it, because as a kid, I think we all have a connection, and I think it's natural. And I don't think that anyone is born without their magic or without a connection. I think
I
we're just
agree.
trained to disconnect, and we lose that connection to our intuition, which is the seat of our magic. And at least in my opinion, um,
Agree. Agree. And we're infinitely powerful. And we know that when we're children, right?
we
Because
do.
we're not afraid of things. We're not afraid of,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to pick up this worm because it looks cool. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm afraid it's dirty. I'm going to run
Um,
as fast as I can because I'm not afraid I can't do it. I'm just going to try. And then at some point, the messages from our parents, from our communities, from the media, from kids at school, they dampen us to go, oh,
yeah.
maybe I can't, maybe I shouldn't, maybe I should feel things like shame or fear. And that's not inherent in us as beings. That's what our brains do in response to other people's opinions.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, and the traumatic experiences and how
Correct.
people helped us or didn't help us process them as kids, and
Mm-hmm.
that becoming a very specific pathway in our brain.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I
and
love that shit. Like I love where
I
there's
love it too. I'm
right,
so glad we're talking about this because
right.
like I don't talk about
No,
most
I
of the
love it
stuff
because
we
this
talk
is
about.
for me, this is like I'm a witch, right? I'm a witch, I'm a pagan witch,
Yeah.
I'm a kitchen witch, and that's the easiest way to explain my how I identify my
Yeah.
practice and my person, right? But all of these things are the things that make up my personality, my belief system, and
Absolutely.
how I move through the world, right?
Mhm.
And all the work that we've done spiritually, emotionally, mentally, it's all part of who we are as spiritual practitioners, as spiritual beings living on a human plane. So I don't think you can have one conversation without the other.
I mean, I can't, but I also like struggle to stay on one topic,
I got
because
you.
there's like 500 different things that I'm thinking about all at once. And I'm like, oh,
Yes.
we talk about that. But like lately I've been really looking into and thinking about just the fact that our brain is constantly trying to protect us. And so like
Yes.
even just that, like, oh, I was injured in this way, and then you do a thing that is similar to that, and then your brain's like, don't do it, you might get hurt. And just reprogramming those pathways can be transformative for people's health, and realizing that like your body's not broken, your body's literally just trying to protect yourself. So if you
Yeah.
start telling your body like, oh no, actually, thank you, but I'm fine. Like,
That
thank you.
also goes
Okay.
for your emotional and your mental state too. Like
Yep.
self sabotage is a real thing,
Yep.
and you will continue to put yourself in situations that are I just heard this the other day. It was I was probably listening to a podcast, and the statement was human beings, human brains are not programmed to be happy. We
Hmm.
are programmed to be comfortable.
Yes.
So if we are comfortable being in an abusive relationship, our brains will default to putting us in an abusive relationship, whether or not we're trying to do
Absolutely.
that, unless we go ahead and reprogram our brains through things like therapy, metaphysics,
Yeah.
magic, meditation, all these things that help us to kind of reprogram ourselves. you're going to continue to avoid things, procrastinate things, keep putting yourself in situations that are not good for you. So that brings me back. I want to come back around to you and your story. You leave this cult situation when you're
Mhm.
19 years old.
Yes.
How? Because that is some serious programming. That's serious programming around what is community supposed to look like? Who am
Hmm.
I supposed to be? What does my relationship look like? What does my relationship to spirit look like? How do you as an individual, take the time to reprogram yourself? Like you said, you weren't interested.
Yeah.
What things did you do to reprogram yourself to heal from that experience and that toxicity, to go on to be open to things like metaphysics and yoga and witchcraft?
Well, a lot of it was education for sure, like being willing to learn about other things.
Mm,
And it was also, I mean, that kind of coincided with when I started going to college. And so that was really helpful for me to kind of get outside of my original box, because it wasn't a like Christian college. It was just I was going to community college, and then I went on to a state university, and
that had to be
it
a shock
was
to your system,
oh, it was a huge shock to my system.
right?
Um, it was like both exciting but also terrifying at the same time, especially as somebody who is like I'm a pretty introverted person. Like I can enjoy talking one-on-one with somebody, but I do not like being in big groups of people.
Yeah.
So it was definitely really hard for me to like calibrate to how do you interact with people? Because like the other layer to all this is being ADHD and having to mask constantly and knowing like the script that you say and all of the things that you grew up doing because you knew it was acceptable within that community. I had to like figure it all out again. So
Ooh,
it was a lot. It was a lot for me, but I really didn't feel like there was a choice at that point in time. I was like, I can't stay with what I'm doing. Like everything inside of me was like, that's just not it. And I mean, you could say it was a waking up point, but I don't feel like I was ever asleep.
mm,
Because like growing up, I never felt like I was just completely and totally disconnected with a lot of the metaphysical world and like I saw stuff growing up and I experienced floating and like I had experiences. And so it wasn't like I was just like, there's nothing else out there. But I wasn't going to explore it because it was evil. And so when I did leave, it was kind of like a lot of anger initially, a lot of
yeah.
anger, a lot of sadness, a lot of loneliness. Those were the main like feelings I was experiencing, even though anger is secondary emotion. It's not like it was more of the loneliness and just feeling like I was so deceived by people who were supposed to like protect me.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
going to college helped quite a bit with just like expanding my horizons. And then also, like, my husband's an Aquarius, and he is always like looking into weird stuff and trying new things. And it's great for me because I can kind of get into my little cozy nest and not really branch out sometimes. And so he was definitely helpful in that regard because he was like, oh, these people are gonna go do this thing, let's go do it. And so just being exposed to different people, different ways of thinking, and understanding that like you don't have to have black and white for everything. Like it's okay
Mm,
to never actually have a full answer, and to continue to grow and change throughout your life. I was actually talking to my mom just the other night because she's very much still within that community, and just saying, hey, like, have you ever thought about questioning this particular belief? Like, if somebody sent, like, gave you all the information possible and, like, actually showed you, like, look, this is not actually what your book even says,
right.
would you change how you feel about it? And her response to me was like, well, I've had the same belief since I was like 4 years old. And I was like, well, but that's actually not true because I had just had another conversation with her where she had like sent me this podcast that was a Christian podcast and it was all about purity culture. And that was a huge thing growing up, very much like the women and the girls, it's their fault if guys are attracted to you or if they do stuff to you because you somehow were the problem. Um,
Absolutely.
and so she actually listened to this particular one, and it was saying that that was toxic and it was a problem. And she was like, this actually changed my opinion on things. And I was like, you have no idea how much it means to me to hear you say that. Because, like, I am not somebody who is going to hold somebody over the flames for the rest of their life. I want people to grow and evolve. Like, if you're alive, you are growing and changing. And so if somebody is willing to work on their own stuff and heal, then I am 100% in support of that.
Yeah.
But just that understanding that like there are so many things that people hold on to so tightly that they aren't willing to part with because it's safe. Is there's like you were saying, if you're used to being in a narcissistic abusive relationship, it's safe. It's like holding on to, broken glass. You're fine with holding on to it because if you open your hand, you'll really feel it.
Yeah.
Because all those sensations and anyways, it's just the process of escaping and processing takes so much strength. And
Yeah.
so for anyone out there who's been through like leaving something substantial like that, like props to you. You're amazing and you should be so proud of yourself.
And
Uh,
you should be so proud of yourself. And I think that's a really, I mean, there's so much to unpack there, but I think right now in the moment in time in history that we are, there are a lot of people holding on to beliefs for the sake of holding on to beliefs. There are a lot of people that because, and I want to use the word brainwash because I don't have a better word for it.
there's not
My
really a better word. I mean, we are constantly brainwashing ourselves, so like,
right. I mean,
but it is, I agree. That's probably the best term.
right. Like, I mean, the insidiousness of media, negativity, lies, deceit,
Yeah.
fear mongering, all of those things, specifically targeting anyone that is othered,
Yes.
right? Um, and I think we as witches, we as women, uh,
Mhm.
you know, anybody who's different, queer people, people of color, whatever, wherever you
Yeah.
are, you're being othered, and so you're the bad guy, and so the world is kind of brainwashing people that are already susceptible, right?
Yeah.
Into staying in a place of
Yeah.
fear, right? So, again, not as extreme, but my mother is like super conservative, believes everything she sees on Fox News,
Yeah.
like she's that person. And
Yeah.
there is no like me saying, hey, blah, 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 climate change. And she's like, no, no. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
you've been living on the same planet as me forever. And,
Yeah.
you know, why? No, 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 no. But because this is what I believe. Are you open to the information to learn something different and challenge your beliefs? And the answer is a lot of people say no, because the not knowing
Yeah.
is too scary. The
Yeah.
the admitting that you could be incorrect is too scary, you
Yeah.
know? So that if there was someone who was in a situation like you were in, like what is the best advice you could give to someone who maybe wants to change their belief system
Mhm.
or wants to challenge their belief system but doesn't know where to start? What would you say to that person?
I would first of all say like be kind to yourself, like give yourself space to do so, and don't like get down on yourself because it's a process and there's going to be a lot of ups and downs and it's going to take time, like taking time like the rest of your life. So there's no rush, but be open to opportunities. That's what I would say. Be open to opportunities and start looking for them. And what I mean by be open to opportunities is actually just say it to the universe. Um, Whatever opportunity comes into my lap, I will move forward with that opportunity. And so you might end up being connected with some pretty interesting people through that. And just allowing for little interactions that might have made you uncomfortable before, but
Mm.
like branch out, try something that was seen as evil within the doctrine that you're brought up in, and see if it really is evil. Like, form your own opinion. I was raised to not drink at all, so of course there was drinking in college, lots of it.
Sure.
I figured out, like, my Scots Irish blood is very much in me.
And then
So
you realize 5 drinks, not evil. 7 drinks, evil.
yeah, well, I mean, you're going to pay for it in one way or another.
Right.
But I've never been somebody who likes the feeling of being like drunk.
Yeah.
So like it didn't take me as long.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just a personality thing too. I just am like, "Ugh, I don't really like feeling out of control
Me
of my
too.
thoughts."
Same, exact same. I hate feeling out of control. Like I
Yeah.
don't even like a buzz. I don't drink.
Yeah, I don't anymore. I used to be able to, but I don't know. Maybe it's just being in my 30s. My body's like, you can't really drink caffeine.
No, caffeine,
I
caffeine,
still love the flavor of coffee,
no.
unfortunately.
Caffeine and me are best friends. Caffeine
Yeah.
and me are best friends. But I never drank. I never like even in college, even in my 20s. And my husband didn't drink either. When we met, he was like, I don't drink. And I'm like, I don't drink either, just by choice, because both of us
Yeah.
were like, we don't like the way it feels. We don't like to be out of control, which I'm sure is trauma related, right? Like,
Oh, for sure.
I'm sure at some point, I also think there's a past life thing because I'm pretty sure in a past life, I died of an overdose or substance of some kind.
It's
Um,
likely that we've all had those experiences.
yeah, yeah. So like I was just never, and then when we both turned 30, we were like, I think I want to try wine. I think I want to try
Mhm.
beer. And so there was like a couple of years between 30 and 35 where we get a glass of wine when we went out to dinner or something
Mhm.
like that. Even now, he'll have like a beer a week, maybe. But
Mhm.
we had friends over for dinner the other night. I served beautiful Italian wine, and I was like, I'd rather have this very cold seltzer. Like, like
Yeah.
I would much rather
Yeah.
have a lemonade.
Yeah.
But no, it's not for me. But I do think a lot of that goes to like what you're talking about, that out of control. I also don't want to muddy my senses in terms of
Yes.
like my spiritual self. I don't want
Mhm.
to muddy that, right? Um, there's so much. So okay, let me get back to the actual topic that we're talking
I
about,
mean,
which
you're
is
doing
your
great keeping
which
us
is
on topic. So,
which is your journey, right? So okay, so you go through college, your husband starts getting into metaphysics and you're like, this is so cool. At what point do you like leapfrog into learning about witchcraft? Like at what point do you realize when you said before I learned things are not evil, right?
yeah,
That has to do with exposure, obviously.
absolutely.
There are people that think all people of color are criminals because they've never met a
Mhm.
person of color. There are
Yes.
people
Yeah.
that think all queer people are psychopaths because they've never met a queer
Yeah.
person, right? Which,
Hello.
hello, hi,
Yeah.
hello, we're in the rainbow.
We're in
Um,
here. Yeah.
so people just don't understand. So you are now exposed to the world at large
Hmm.
and you realize, oh, this is interesting to me. That's interesting to me. What was that first moment that you had an inclination towards, for lack of a better term, magic?
Oh goodness. I wouldn't even say that there wasn't an inclination from like I said early on in childhood, because I always felt like when something came easily to me, like I didn't have to like learn it per se, it just like came to me. It
Mm,
felt magical and it was. And so I always like held on to those little moments like treasures. And so for me, it was just kind of like accumulating them and then realizing that like this was something like more than what I thought it was, and it wasn't just me. And so I think it was just being exposed to more and more people who believe differently and realizing that like, oh, this has a term, like, and you don't have to do it in any particular way.
yeah.
And then like having connections with like my grandma who passed, and having connections with other ancestors, and just realizing that like it's all there all the time. We're all
Mm.
simultaneous. Time is constantly here and there and everywhere at the same time. And so realizing that like I can be anything I want to be, and I already am. And so what do I want to choose to be right now, and what do I want to connect with? And so for me, it was just like realizing that magic was real, and realizing that it was inside of me. Like I didn't need to go outside of myself. I actually heard somebody recently talking about how the difference between one of the differences between people who have a womb and who don't is those who don't have a womb need to meditate and need to spend time like trying to seek that cosmic connection, whereas people who have a womb already have the cosmos inside of their bodies, so
Mhm.
we don't need to do the same meditative trying to sit and connect situation. We just need to connect to our wombs. And that resonated so deeply with me
Mm.
because it makes so much sense. We literally have a portal inside of our bodies. And so being able to heal the disconnect there, and understand our bodies well, it's magic. And it's something that, especially if you do have a womb in your body, like you need to heal that connection, if you want to have your magic flowing. You need to think about your lymphatic system if you're going to have your magic flowing well, because the lymphatic system is literally the 3D out picture of your magic flowing through your body. So
Wow.
when we have stagnation and we have blockages within those systems, it leads to disease and other stuff that we just have unexplained experiences, and it's really just a clogged duct of magic like that's not
Mm.
flowing well, and it's getting stagnant. And so it's kind of like when you think about if you have like a traumatic experience and you aren't able to release that from your body, it gets stagnant and gets stuck. So we need to move it because it's powerful. It's a lot of energy. It's very powerful. And
Mhm.
so if we don't move it, it creates a lot of problems, and things just don't flow as well. So that is kind of something else that I kind of started to understand, because a lot of these beliefs that I've formed and connections between all of the different systems of healing, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
um, have come from just like aha moments. And so for me,
Yeah.
I have so much respect for the practice of yoga, but realizing that like the asanas are meant to move your magic through your body so it's functioning properly and
Yes.
connected to your breath. And
Your
so
breath is
then,
life. And that's what goes
yes,
through your system. And that moves propels your blood and gets
yes,
things moving. And
yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head so much when you said for those of us that have a womb, and being connected to the cosmos through womb. Um, in my own journey, part of what was difficult for me was that, again, that upbringing of you're dirty because you're a woman.
Yeah,
Menstruation is disgusting. Hide it. Don't talk about it.
yeah,
Um, and that sort of aha moment for me about my own power as a female bodied womb owner, I guess I would say,
yeah,
was learning that in many, many, many cultures, women were considered divine
yes,
because they could bleed for 7 days and not die.
yes.
Whereas in the Judeo-Christian kind of
You
mentality,
hide them.
right,
Yeah,
you were, oh, well, you could bleed for 7 days, so you must be the devil because that's
yeah,
not human. Instead of you can bleed for 7 days, you must be a god.
yeah,
You can create life. You can lose that amount of blood and you can still thrive in your life. You
yeah,
have that cradle of creation with inside you, and that knowledge that other worlds, other civilizations and other religions celebrated, that was a
yes,
big moment for me in terms of learning about the goddess and learning about my own power and all
Mhm.
of those things. So I love that you mentioned that as an aha moment for you, and that back to that realization that you had about, I create my life. I get to decide who I am.
Yeah,
I get to decide the world that is around me in my immediate space.
absolutely.
It's incredible.
I mean, we're just incredible beings, and like it's crazy that most of us aren't even waking up and up to it until your 30s, 40s, or maybe never. And that's really sad to me to see so many magical creatures on this planet who are just so beat down and disconnected. But that's why I also like my little tagline on TikTok is, simple, powerful magic, because that's what we need to like refocus our energies on, and instead of being like, here's the spell that we're gonna follow, right? Here's the spell that we're gonna follow, or like this person says that this is how it is and this is how we should do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Instead of doing that, just like simply ask yourself, go inside, connect to that intuitive knowing, connect to what's going on in nature. Like nature just gave you this beautiful stick and it looks like an LEA is like, cool, bring it inside, honor it.
Right.
Just stop trying so hard. Just let it happen because
Yes.
it's going to. And like that's something that I hope I make clear with my content is like I am not a guru. Like, I'm just offering you ideas. And like, if you get inspired with the ideas that I'm offering, cool. And if the particular ingredients I'm using you don't have, that's okay. The only reason why I'm using those ingredients is because they called to me and they were in my space.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm not going out and buying specific ingredients all the time to do these different rituals or spells. I am just working with the energies that I have, or that nature's offering, and showing reverence and understanding and connection. And so that is something that I hope we will see more of on TikTok. A lot of the really big spiritual creators and witches tend to be a little bit, I think, a little bit too much in their own heads, and a little bit
Mm.
too disconnected from actual magic and witchcraft and like what it's supposed to be about, which is like your own personal practice, and not
Your own
telling other
personal
people
practice.
how to have a personal practice, because like they're
Right.
supposed to do that for themselves. It's just like
Right.
with yoga. As a yoga teacher, you're very much taught like this is not about you telling people this is what they're doing with their bodies. It's about you saying, here, I'm holding space for you. I'm offering you a practice, but if none of this sounds good, go lay on the floor. Like you don't have to do anything. There's no expectation on you. And also like as somebody who might be more seasoned or experienced with different things, like you need to be listening to the beginners because you're going to learn so much from them. And it's going to change how you practice because like none of us are perfect and none of us have figured everything out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very much a concept within yoga. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you're always learning. Listen to the people
Yeah.
who are starting.
I
Um,
think it's something we say all the time, or I say all the time on this show, is witchcraft isn't something we do, it's something we are. It's
yeah,
who we are. It's how we move through the world. It's how
yeah,
we relate to the changing of the seasons. It's how we relate to each other as individuals. It's how we find compassion for each other. It's not about esoteric ritual and how many crystals you have and the ingredients that you're using.
yeah.
It is simply how you choose to move through the world with purpose. And on
Mhm.
that, I want to take a quick break so we can hear from
Okay.
our sponsors. And then we're going to come back and we're going to finish up talking more about witchcraft and your books. Okay, we're back with Ayanna Madrone. And in the break, we are talking about all kinds of things like moon and womb magic. And we were just about to get onto this topic where you said you can't just throw everything out, right? Because you really
Yeah.
love the idea of the Wiccan philosophy of Maiden, Mother, and Crone. And one of the things that I love about being a self-proclaimed witch is that I get to choose. When we were talking at the very beginning, the
Yeah.
freedom that you felt when you left your cult church and
Mhm.
being able to have every option. That's kind of how I felt when I decided to become a witch, or not decided to become, but like found the path. I was like, wait,
Yeah.
I don't have to choose one thing. I can be like, oh, goddess energy. Yeah, maiden, mother, crone. Cool. I identify with that. Oh, look, here's this god. Oh, wait, look, here's this archangel. Yeah, I can work with
Mhm.
them. Oh, Venus, sure. Like anything I wanted to work with, I now had the freedom to do that. And I
Yes.
thought that was so, for me in my own personal practice, so gratifying that I could pick and choose what felt right for me at the moment, or
Yeah.
what I need right now, or what I'm feeling, or what do I want to give right now? If I'm feeling an overabundance of one thing or the other,
Hmm.
what deity can I work with? What earth magic can I work with? What can I do? And I get to choose whatever works best. Um, so you were saying that you're starting a book on like moon magic without giving away
Yeah.
too much of that, right? But you do have a couple of books out now that are, if
You.
that are all like seasonal goodies.
Yes. Yeah. I have a book so far. We've gone through this year. We've gone through Yule and Moloch, or Imbolc, however you want to say it. It's kind of said both ways. Ostara, uh, Beltana or Beltane, however you want to say it. And then Letha and Lunasa, and and we only have a couple more. I mean, we only have Maven and Samhain, and like that's crazy to me. But yeah, so I have 5 books. 5 books? Is it really 5 books now?
Five, six. There's 8
6?
Sabbats. So
Oh my
if there's
goodness.
only 2
I'm
left, you have
losing
6.
track now. Oh my goodness. Did I miss saying somebody?
I don't, I'm
It's hard
looking at
for me
my, I'm
without
looking
like
at my
seeing an
wheel.
actual like image of like these are the different.
Yes. I have my wheel on the
I
wall
also am
right
running on
here.
like 3 hours of sleep, so
So
that's
we have Ostara,
Mhm.
Beltane.
Yep.
I can't read it from here.
Cool. More.
Litha, Lunasa, Maven,
Yep.
Samhain, Yule, and Imbolc.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think I said all of them.
that's 8. Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, okay, good.
that's
So there's
8.
only two left. Um, two left that I'm gonna be finishing up. And ultimately I want to get them printed. I'm hoping to have the Samhain one printed. That's my hope, and be able to do pre-orders. Um, because I'm not like financially wealthy. So this beautiful home I'm in is a rental and I love it to death. I wish it was my home, but pre-orders seems to be the great way to go, especially if you're self-published.
Yes. Yes,
Um,
which takes
so
a lot of juice. Like people out there, you do not understand how hard it is to write a book. You do not understand how hard it is to publish a book, to self-publish a book. It is effing hard and
yeah,
it's a labor of love. And what I love about the practice that you share with us on social media, on TikTok especially, is the seasonality of it. Because so much of my own personal practice, whenever I'm, listen, life is life, right? I
for
I
life.
run a business. I
Hmm.
have a huge life. I'm a very, very busy person. And fitting in, like you said, fitting in your witchcraft, it's not something we do, it's something we are.
Yes.
So for me, it's my default when I don't have time to do a big ritual. I don't have time for this. There's a lovely community here that I will go do public ritual with, which
Hmm.
is a huge gift. If you're in a place where you can do public ritual with trusted folks, go do it because it's amazing. But I default to the seasonal activities, right? Um, as we're recording this, it's almost Lunasa. When this airs, it's going to be Maven. So right now my practice is okay. I made a huge bouquet of sunflowers the other
Hmm.
day. I made recipes with peaches and tomatoes, and yes, exactly.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
tapping into the season. We're taking a moment to
That
bring
crostini looked amazing, by the
oh
way.
it was so good, the peach crostini with the fresh basil pesto that I made from my garden. It was incredible.
So
So it
good.
feels a little bit like witchy Martha Stewart, but it's
Yeah.
really It's really about the rhythms of the season. So, can you talk to us a little bit about your seasonal practices? I saw that incredible simmer pot you posted this morning. Absolutely beautiful. And like you said, it's stuff that you have, it's ingredients that called to you. So,
Yeah.
talk to us a little bit about your seasonal practice and why is it important to you?
Oh man, why is it? That's it's such a layered thing for me. I mean, as people who live on this planet, it is essential that we are being connected to the seasons and what's going on outside our door. And a huge reason why we have so many issues with our health, mentally, physically, is because we are so disconnected. And so, even just the fact that, like, I've been in this particular location for almost 2.5 years, which is a big deal for us because we tend to kind of travel quite a bit. We used to live in a camper van, and we did that, like, traveling around, running our own business for about 6 years. And so, being in a singular location for more than a year is a huge deal. And especially as somebody who loves to connect with the earth and be in the soil and all of that, having a space where I can garden and I can observe what's coming up throughout the different seasons. There's so much peace and there's so much joy, like simple joy, that comes from going outside and seeing the first grape hyacinth come up, or violet, and just watching as the plants, you know, progress throughout the seasons, and being able to participate in that in different ways, whether it be planting your own seeds and watching your sunflowers grow, and harvesting your first harvest from the land, which is a whole like celebration of Lunasa, even though it was about Lou's foster mom, actually Tale 2, and celebrating her because she cultivated the land, and ultimately like all of her energy she invested um led to her death. And so it was kind of a mourning of her, but also a celebration of what she had done. Um, but it's really about like collecting the first harvest
The
from your
first harvest,
land,
yeah.
but also from your life. And so remembering that, like, even if you aren't gardening, like just observing what have I set as far as goals for my life this year, and what has already happened, what can I find gratitude for. And so like in my book, it very much is like, if you have this much time or these like this many resources, like you can do just a little something. It doesn't need to be a big
Yeah.
ritual or an all-day practice. And I think that um that's kind of the core of my practice around the seasons, is like stop, observe, be present, go outside, take your shoes off, find gratitude for the leaf that you found. Like do simple things, because that's where the richness, the magic, that's where all of it lies. Is just being willing to exist and not try and rush or create something. You're just allowing it to flow from you. And so once I started really understanding how disconnected everyone is and how much people are longing to have this seasonal connection, and like how lost a lot of people are feeling once they are like choosing to leave the religious past and maybe disconnect from some of the holidays that are a part of those organizations. It can feel really lonely and very aimless, and like, is there anything exciting to look forward to? And that's something else that I would say from Wicca, because the wheel that was created is actually a Wiccan thing. The holidays themselves are not, and the fact that they're all celebrated is very much not. So while it was kind of I would say a haphazard sort of way to mash up holidays, especially if they're from like your ancestors. Like being able to reconnect with them is really special. And if they aren't, then understanding them and like cherishing them for what they are, and then like figuring out ways that you can honor the season in your area, maybe inspired by it, is wonderful. And or figuring out like your ancestors likely celebrated the seasons too, so how
Mm-hmm.
did we do that? And that was kind of where it all started for me, was like, people need this. Like they need this connection. And it's so simple, but it's so important. And just showing reverence to my ancestry and my ancestors who were able to like beat the odds and fight through, colonization and hold on to those sacred practices. And like for there's the May bush, which no one talks about, from Beltane or Beltana. The May bush in Ireland is very much the original tradition. The
Mhm.
maypole is more of a later on thing that came to be. But like the original tradition was a May bush, and you decorate it with like eggshells that you painted,
Mm.
or like shells or ribbons, or maybe you tie something on it that you wanted to write down and like manifest. And then you would put it on like a hawthorn bush or something like that, near your house. And at one point, they actually had to bring them inside because they were like obviously being targeted and
Right, right.
really pagan and, evil. Um,
So evil. So evil. We put ribbons on a bush. We must be evil.
but like just like understanding that like there's all these little fun, amazing things that people have created, and it's not like they were in particular, it's not like they were somebody special. They were just people living their
Yeah.
lives and connecting in nature and honoring in the ways that they could. And so remembering that like you are a person, you are able to do these things too.
Yep.
And so stop having everyone else tell you what to do
Yep.
and realize that like get inspiration, it's wonderful, but figure out how you can practice in your area, even if it's simple. I have a
Agree. 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 I feel like the seasonal for me, the seasonal practices are really important for many reasons. And just like you, it's about that stop and observe and that connectivity and to be a
Mhm.
kitchen witch and be able to do that through food.
Mhm.
I feel it creates accessibility
Yeah,
for everyone. So you don't have to be a witch. You don't
yeah,
have to be a psychic witch. You don't have to
yeah,
be a deity witch. You don't have to
yeah,
be anything because everybody, even if you live in a place that doesn't have all four seasons, the environment around you is giving you something. The earth is giving you something. And we are the oneness
yeah.
with Mother Earth. We are all made of the same stuff. So when
Mhm.
we're disconnected from that, that's when we feel lonely and sad
Yeah,
and like what's the purpose of everything? But when we can just take a moment, you're not spending any money, you're not
mhm.
wasting any time, you're just literally taking a breath. You're
Yeah,
going, bringing awareness to, look at this beautiful sunflower, bringing awareness to, oh, I put cinnamon in my coffee today. And cinnamon is a fall spice that's also associated with home and happiness and prosperity and all of
yes.
those things. Like you're just touching that oneness, that source energy. And that's why I think the work that you do about your seasonal practice and your seasonal magic and in your seasonal books, I think that is so connective for other people. And it's so much how people can get more in tune with their own practices and become more aware of the world around them through these practices, right?
Thank
Like your
Yeah.
books are really there to help people find and connect to the oneness. And that's what you're doing in your work as a witch on TikTok, on Substack, all of the things that you're doing. And it's so needed and so appreciated by the community.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's just I've always very much been a teacher. And so if I find something that I know is needed, I think about it all the time.
Yeah.
Like I go to bed thinking about how I'm going to share it, and I wake up thinking about how I'm going to share it. It never turns off completely. Um, and I mean, that's how I feel about like kitchen witchery and all of
Yeah.
that too, just because it's so much a part of me. And it definitely wasn't something that like I was taught in my house. Actually, I had a grandma, she was adopted grandma from my church. She adopted me into her life to kind of like hang out with me once a month, when I was like 4. And so she had me over to her house, and we would go in her garden and we would pick something, or we'd cultivate, and then we'd go into the kitchen and we would cook something. And I still have a recipe card from her, and that's like 30 years old.
Wow.
And it's just that little connection that I had back then told me that like this is what it's about, and also you are special. And so I remember that
Yeah.
whenever I'm struggling or I'm feeling like what's the point? Like it doesn't matter if I share, remembering that like yes, it does matter and other people are feeling that way too. And so reminding them that they are magical and that they need to just accept it and start practicing and realize that it's very simple. Um,
Yeah.
and for me, the difference between something being like actually practicing magic versus just going about your day and like doing the same thing, is one is really a ritual and the other one's just a routine. Like if you aren't putting intentions into what you're doing, I mean, you're just going about
Yeah.
doing motions.
You're
Like,
just on autopilot. The awareness. I
yeah.
always say that when you bring the awareness to the thing, then you activate its energy, right? So if you're
Mm-hmm.
bringing awareness and intention to the action that you're doing, to the food that you're cooking, to the meal
Yeah.
that you're eating, to the soil in your garden, you are activating its energy. If you're not aware, if you don't bring your self to it, then you're not doing the magic. And the magic is as easy as the
Yeah.
awareness. And then you can expand upon that and get super crazy and have all kinds of rituals. And that's awesome.
Totally.
Like,
There's lots of amazing, cool
right,
tools that you
right,
can do in
right,
crafts, and I mean, I share a little bit over on Patreon, but it's so important that we come back to the basics and like, why are we doing this in the first place? Like,
right.
are we doing it because we're angry and we're trying to like hurt somebody? Or are we doing it because we're lonely and we want something to connect to? Or like just understanding like where are we starting from and not villainizing those feelings or where you're starting from, but just like having that awareness, having that
Mhm.
awareness, because like you are at your most powerful when you are aware. And a lot of people who I think are completely disconnected, they might seem powerful, but they're not. They're
Not
not.
at all. Not
And
at all.
building on that foundation slowly instead of trying to like, I don't know, leap into some extreme lofty thing that you think is like the pinnacle of power, um, you're missing it. You're just gonna miss it all. And
Right. All
so
the good stuff.
all the good stuff, all the
Yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah. All the good stuff.
Um,
Ayana, it has been absolutely lovely chatting with you. For everyone listening, please tell them where they can find you online, where they can follow you. How do we find you on TikTok? Tell us about your Patreon. Tell us where we can buy your books.
okay, so I am Ayanna Madrone on TikTok, and my handle on Substack is Root and Ritual. And I also have a Patreon, which is linked to my TikTok and my Substack, where I share more. More. I actually share like kitchen witchery, like full videos and recipes as I'm like crafting my cookbook over there. So it's a really fun space to be. And then also my books are linked over on Patreon, at least for now, until I build my own website. Then I will definitely be happy to have that because I think it kind of scares people off when they have to click on a Patreon link in order to go uh, look at the book. So
Yeah.
don't be scared, and you can join Patreon for free. You don't have to like join a tier in particular. You can just join for free. And all my books are in the store, and there will be more. There's Maven and there's Samhain that's coming out. And like I said, I'm gonna hopefully have a physical copy coming out of Samhain. I'm hopeful. We will see. I'm not promising anything. And I have
Yes.
several other books in the works as well. One that's going to be about your connection to your womb and the lunar cycles and ancestral connections to both of those and healing what's been lost and wounded and just repowering, like empowering
I love
people.
it. I love it.
So
Excellent, excellent, excellent. I hope everyone goes and follows you because I enjoy you so much on TikTok. You're you're really getting it right and you're really helping a lot of people. So, Ayana, one last question before we go. And I ask this to everyone that comes on the show, and it's a little different because you are also a practitioner of kitchen witchcraft. But if you could have me cook you one magical meal, what would it be and why?
Oh man. Well, you said you have Catholic Italian roots, so probably something from your childhood that you absolutely loved. Like,
Mm.
what is the dish that literally like is comfort, is happiness to you? That would be the dish that I would want you to cook for me.
So like I only make meatballs a couple of times a year
Yeah,
because they are like the ultimate and I do them the long way.
yeah.
And so that's like if someone were to ask me like what's for me the ultimate, it's meatballs and gravy, which we call gravy, not sauce, because that's a New
Mhm.
York Italian thing. And so that's what I would make you. If it was my
That
choice,
sounds amazing.
that's what I would
Yeah,
make you.
yeah. That
All right.
sounds incredible.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so, so much for being here. I hope you
Thank
had a
you.
wonderful
You're
time.
an amazing person, and
Oh my
I
God.
I
Thank you.
love
You're
connecting
amazing.
with you, and I'm just amazed that you exist, and I'm so like honored that you chose to invite me here. So thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. It was fabulous to get to know you and learn about your journey. And until next time, everyone, I wish you so many blessings and so much gratitude.